How can one negotiate, asked Obama, with a party willing to recognize your right to exist? And again, of course, he is referring to Hamas, but he could equally be referring to Israel. And finally, he said, our own nation, the United States of America, was founded through a rebellion against an empire. Now, what he refuses to acknowledge is that what is happening in the Middle East today, the so-called Arab Spring, is also a rebellion against an empire, and it is a rebellion against the American empire. And in this rebellion, the right of Israel to continue to exist as an oppressive state, as an oppressive Jewish ethnic state that denies rights to its own Palestinian citizens and that illegally occupies the territories of its neighbors, that is no longer accepted. Now, of course, Obama cannot accept that. He and his friends in the European Union, like Mr. Cameron, have only one interest in the Arab revolts, and that is to manage them, to make sure that they don't give birth to any kind of real democracy. And I think that they will give birth to real democracy eventually. Now, get back to that phrase, the audacity of hope. The audacity of hope, and not of hype, is the name of a ship. It is the name of an American ship that is sailing into Gaza, or that is hoping to sail into Gaza to breach the illegal Israeli siege of Gaza at the end of next month. And this boat, this ship, is full not of arms, not of supplies, but of messages, of letters of solidarity to the people of Gaza from the people of the United States of America. And this is where hope, the audacity of hope, really lies, in the solidarity between peoples and not in the solidarity between oppressive leaders. Following the slow awakening of Latin America, and let's not forget that Obama supported the coup that overthrew the democratically elected president of Honduras, Zelaya. George Bush had completely ignored Latin America and Central America, but Obama has backed a coup, a military coup in the old style. Following the slow awakening of Latin America, the awakening of the Middle East, the awakening of the Arab and Islamic world is happening. It is going to continue happening. It is a great pity that Obama will not be part of this process, that a man who traces his political lineage to Martin Luther King instead backs a racist state, a state that has Jim Crow laws against its Arab population, a state that in many ways resembles the American South prior to Martin Luther King. It is a great pity that Obama will not be part of this awakening, and it is a great pity that our politicians tomorrow will not be whispering a word in his ear saying, no, the Irish people do not accept these policies, do not accept American foreign policy. We know that they will be saying much softer, much kinder and much gentler things. But we are here, and as long as international solidarity mounts, and it is mounting, as long as we support campaigns of boycott, divestment and sanctions against the rogue Israeli regime, then there is hope, and we can be audacious and continue to hope. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Raymond. And maybe just before we take our next speaker, we should try and make a bit of noise for people to hear. So we should raise our voices for Palestine. Free, free Palestine! 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 Occupation has to go! Barack Obama, don't you know? Occupation has to go! Barack Obama, don't you know? Occupation has to go! Barack Obama, don't you know? Occupation has to go! Barack Obama, don't you know? Occupation has to go! Okay, I want to introduce our next speaker, who will remind us that our protest is not just about what the United States is doing or what the Western powers are doing, but it is also about what our government is doing in being complicit with those powers in their brutal and colonial wars in the Middle East and Afghanistan and elsewhere. So please welcome Ed Horgan from Shannon Watch.
Thank you, Richard, and the other speakers. I agree with all that has been said so far, and perhaps it's understandable that with President Obama due here within 24 hours. We are focusing to a significant degree on US military policy and President Obama. I, however, will focus, as Richard said, on Irish complicity. It's primarily the duty of Irish citizens to hold our government to account and to prevent the Irish people, you and I, being complicit in crimes against humanity. It's primarily the duty of the US citizens to hold their government to account and the British citizens to hold their government to account. Clearly international law is inadequate to do so. What we're talking about at Shannon Airport since 2001 is gross complicity in breaches of international law and in crimes against humanity. Since 2001, over 2 million armed US troops have passed through Shannon Airport on the way to and from the unlawful wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. In those wars, up to probably over 1 million people have been killed. Likewise, in complicity with the US torture rendition program, up to 1,000, maybe over 1,000 CIA planes, many of which were involved in torture rendition, have been refueled at Shannon Airport. And we, the Irish people, are directly complicit. We can understand that our previous Fianna Fáil Green governments lied to us, but we expect that from a bunch of corrupt thieves and robbers. However, with our present government, we are already seeing some signs of complicity in what's happening at Shannon Airport. The Green Party in opposition were clearly opposed to the US military at Shannon Airport. Once they got into government, they abandoned their principles and joined with Fianna Fáil in allowing US military and CIA to use Shannon Airport. Even Enda Kenny in opposition expressed his opposition to US military use at Shannon Airport without a UN mandate. Clearly he had no intention of honouring that when in government. The Labour Party have been very opposed in opposition to both the CIA rendition torture planes at Shannon and to US military use of Shannon Airport. However, we are already seeing some indications that they are now rowing back on that, and the chances are that they may well agree with the complicity with US military use of Shannon Airport, and that I think we must condemn. What we're talking about at Shannon Airport is not just minor breaches of international law and legal matters. We are talking about complicity in the most serious of crimes. Well over 1 million people have died, directly or indirectly, in the wars in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Of that 1 million people, 200,000 or more were innocent children. King Herod in Jerusalem 2011 years ago was accused and probably did kill 2,000 innocent children. The American wars in Iraq and in Iraq have killed 100 times that number of children. And this is one of the greatest crimes against humanity committed in recent years. And we, by facilitating and refuelling the troops going to and from these wars, are directly complicit. Our government has engaged each of us This again is a serious crime, and of course, separately, hundreds of prisoners died in captivity, either by US forces or by their allies in Iraq and Afghanistan. Clearly this amounts to gross breaches of international law and is in itself a crime against humanity. Many of these prisoners may well have passed through Shannon Airport, and we know that many of the flights that brought these prisoners around the world for torture did pass through Shannon Airport. And we are complicit very directly in this. More indirectly, perhaps, the Irish government censors have hired a company called CACI, which is the same company or its parent company in the United States that's provided interrogators and torturers in Abu Ghraib and elsewhere. And yet we were expected to fill in our census forms, which will be computed by this company that has been complicit in torture. In the last couple of days, I have received a letter from the census threatening me with prosecution and threatening me with a fine of